Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Roundup. I've got to say, these are fascinating stories today. Number one, the merger. We have a massive update in that. Then we've got Activision going way more pay to win than I thought they would with Call of Duty, and a bunch of other really fascinating stories. Even Valve actually slamming that banhammer a little more. But come on, we got to get today started with the Activision Blizzard Microsoft merger. Here's the deal. You've probably known that stuff has been going through the legal system right now. It's been a very accelerated trial, and now the judge has given their opinion, and their opinion is that it should not be halted. The deal should go through, at least for now. Basically, they said that the FTC were not able to prove that there was a reasonable case harm to the public, right? You know, like, the public will be harmed by this merger. Stop it right now. That was not proven. And that because of that, the companies can close in their deal before their mid-July deadline. And that's an important thing, because you see, if they went over that mid-July deadline, a part of the contract basically said, and that's $2.5 million as a termination fee to Activision Blizzard, which would have sucked for Microsoft, and it does mean, hey, Bobby Kotick, no matter what, he wins. What a great reality. Anyhow, there are still ways this could go askew, right? Number one, the FTC could appeal. They could have more success in the appeals court. And even if the merger did go through, if the appeal turned that around, then they could be legally forced to unmerge, which I imagine would be quite messy. Then also, the FTC have an administrative trial. How fun! That is scheduled in early August, where I imagine we're just going to see the exact same set of arguments be rolled out because everything's got to be long and tedious. Meanwhile, then, there is the big question of the United Kingdom and their CMA, because at least the FTC believed, based on Microsoft's talk, that they were just going to close on the deal and ignore the CMA. Just be like, screw you guys, whatever, we're closing in the deal. Now, on that, things are quite interesting, because the CMA actually issued a statement after the American court did, and they said, "We stand ready to consider proposals from Microsoft to restructure the transaction in a way that would address the concerns set out in our final report." But this is what's interesting. Quote, "In order to be able to prioritize work in these proposals, Microsoft and Activision have agreed with the CMA that a stay of litigation in the United Kingdom would be in the public interest, and all parties have made a joint submission to the Competition Appeal Tribunal to this effect." So very much a stay of execution, and I guess that means things will probably work out pretty well then. I mean, maybe it's this situation if, like, the CMA is looking at this and like, all right, well, they're going to go ahead in America. Would it be in the public good to, I suppose, like, disrupt their operations here? I mean, I don't obviously know what they're thinking. This is not an area where I have training. I would spitball, though, that maybe they realize, like, yeah, if you go and interrupt, like, a large console and, a very large publisher, that's going to be a real pain in the ass for the people in your country that use their products. Again, I don't know. But anyway, that's basically it. If you look at the stock market, you can obviously see Activision Blizzard is going all the way up to, as close to $95 as the market feels is reasonable. Not that the market is just some dude that makes monolithic decisions. The way that works, though, is it's something called merger arbitrage. Here's the deal. If the deal is going to close at $95 a share, which is what the parties agreed to, and you have a bunch of shares that you bought at $80, congratulations, you're going to get $15 a share whenever it closes, and you'll be pretty happy. So, as the likelihood of the merger going ahead gets, higher and higher and higher, you will see the share price of Activision Blizzard go closer to the sale price per share of this merger. Next, let's move over to Valve and Gabe's big ban hammer, because there are 90,452 games on Steam as of July of this year. And as captured by SteamDB, right, they're tracking, 90 titles have been removed in a sweep of the ban hammer recently. And what's actually interesting is what these titles are, because they include amazing ones such as Stone River, which was €21. Certainly looks like an ambitious game. You can see it has no reviews and really makes no sense. Also, some other SEO benefiting games such as Hold the Battlefield and Tower Defense 2D. In short, a bunch of very cheaply made shite that nobody's going to buy and that is not doing anybody any good. And I think it's weird because you look at a lot of like indie devs who they're like actually genuinely trying to make a game. it might be rough around the edges, but you can maybe see the effort. Whereas you look at these and it's like, what the hell is this? Was this like made by, I don't know, a 16-year-old who was messing around with the tools for the first time? In which case, should that get a place on Steam? Does it just clog up the store? Like, yeah, it probably does, so don't maybe. Or, you know, it's weird stuff like, do you remember the whole, I've forgotten the name of them. Was it the Ramir brothers or something? It was like them versus the Jimquisition, right? That big thing. What a shit show that was. But that was years ago now. What's interesting then is Valve coming in here and seemingly deleting these games, and also actually removing the developer accounts so these can't just be re-uploaded. So it's weird. I would love to see Valve actually make a comment on this. If it's quality control, then that certainly is not the sort of thing that they usually do, because they're very much like adverse to doing anything via, you know, manual hard work. They would rather have it be down to systems and the market, as in sort of their users, tags, reviews, reports, that kind of thing. Hard to know, but if they do want to clean up their storefront, that's well within their right, and probably a good thing for most consumers. It's quite annoying. I mean, if you go onto the PlayStation Store and you search by recently added, it's just all shite, and you're like, Sony, what are you doing? This is an awful store experience. Obviously, they don't want that to happen. A funny little wrinkle on this. So, what often happens, right, is whenever there's a sale on Steam, a lot of trading activity goes on in the Steam marketplace. A lot of people want to trade their skins to get some Steam balance so they can then purchase some video games. But what's happened is there's been a bug, and this bug has caused items not appear in the marketplace. And what that meant is that people would look for an item in the marketplace, they would see, there's not that many of this item. I'll list mine at a high price. Thing is, that was a bug. All those items were on the marketplace. So when the bug was resolved, it immediately became apparent that people who thought they were getting in on a market where there was not much of an item, actually, they were all duped into dumping their stock at the same time, leading to a massive overstock of a whole bunch of skins and a bunch of skin markets absolutely plummeting down. All because a display bug was fixed. What a wild thing. Anyway, speaking of wild things, right, Activision, what are you doing? This is not good. Here's the deal. Extra lives cost a lot more than a quarter. That's how it used to be, you know, you lose at your arcade game, you pop a quarter into the machine. Not that I would know. We don't use American dollars over here. Anyhow, now it's going to cost you 2,400 COD points or $19.99, because that's what you need to buy the Whisker Tango pack that gives you the skins of Sergeant Piss 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 Piss, or as I would just call him, Sergeant Piss Piss, and Sergeant Sprinkles. As you can see, are two cat boys. Though, I mean, really cat. More so than, you know, sort of the furry way. So anyway, there you go. You can play as a cat. But that also comes with, sadly not 9 lives, but 1. Because if you're using these, you get a free self-revive in the DMZ mode. And remember, DMZ is an extraction shooter. A free self-revive is actually quite massive here. And they did this another time too. There was a graffiti themed operator, and it actually was a source of getting a free armor plate vest in DMZ, which again is just a gameplay impacting benefit of this so-called cosmetic. So it's one of those things. DMZ, it's clearly done well enough that they see the point in, like, you know, monetizing it more deeply and actually giving a shit and trying there. And it's just pretty rumbly. It's pretty sus. I do not like it at all. I mean, in the past, obviously there was Call of Duty Black Ops 4, turbo bullshit. I remember in Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, they had a situation where sometimes you'd have a really imbalanced gun, but it would be an imbalanced gun where you'd have to grind the attachments for ages, right? I'm thinking specifically of the Akimbo Diamatis. And what happened is, right, when all the COD creators are saying, oh, look at these Akimbo Diamatis, it's amazing, you just delete people everywhere in the map, oh, you'll get so many kills. And then, what do? They release a bundle that comes pre-made with Akimbo Diamatis, and you're like, could these 2 data points in any universe be connected? I wonder. So it's really not cool. But you know, in addition to that, they've also had the whole extra premium Black Cell Battle Pass, which, yes, is basically another form of Battle Pass on top of the normal Battle Pass, where the additional power, I think, in addition to like tier skips, is that it's one of, you know, those Battle Passes that are like a physical map? What it basically gives you is preferred routing on that map because you can choose different start positions of higher value. And yeah, you look at the Steam reviews for the Black Cell thing and they're all negative, but it's all people being like, I don't know why I turn up here every season and buy this, but I don't know, it's the second season they've done it. Here I am, I've bought it again, oh no. So they're just totally squeezing it, and I guess it's just like, man, if they're going to do some gameplay impacting things there, maybe some of the Diablo people are... I mean, I imagine a lot of the actual devs at Blizzard would go mad if you put that stuff into D4. But it's like, you look at Immortal, you look at what they're even willing to do here, and I mean, it's in a small way, but it is impacting in DMZ mode. Not good. Next then, a nice thing for Diablo 4. This is something that I would definitely want, but basically it's the porting over of Diablo 3's Rebirth feature, where you take your character in the Eternal Realm, and that character gets to move over to the Seasonal Realm, and they are reset. Basically, it's the idea of I can play every single season on the same character. For a lot of people, it's even just the notion of having, you know, all these, like, kind of disposable characters. It just doesn't work for them. For the core ARPG player base, of course, when a new season comes, maybe they want to try a new class, a new character. That's the way that they do it. But obviously, Diablo 4, it's hitting that broader appeal. Adam Fletcher has said that the feature isn't there yet, but they've heard it a bunch, so the team is aware. I would imagine then they're actually working on it. And as the final story today, the Borderlands movie, directed by Eli Roth, is absolutely screwed. It was announced in 2015, started filming in 2021. The only official image we've got are these, like, silhouettes of characters. I mean, it's got some big names, like Kate Blanchett as Lilith. You're like, what? What's going on here? This is all bizarre. Randy Pitchford, of course, was reporting from the scene. And we did, in 2022, get reshoots and rewrites. Right? But the problem is those reshoots and rewrites were screened, and then Lionsgate, the production company, asked for even more reworks. Then, in January 2023, Tim Miller came in to direct more reshoots, but reshoots that could work within the cast schedules because, like, now, you know, and it is with the support of Eli Roth, but still, your cast members, it's like, hey, it's 2 years later, we've done principal photography, we've done our pickups, we've done our reshoots, now you want more reshoots? Can I escape this shitty movie, please? I imagine that's what they're thinking. But in a real big vote of confidence in the movie, Craig Mazin, who's a very hot property because, of course, being the creator and showrunner of Chernobyl, which was incredible, and The Last of Us, which was incredible, and the most I can say is, I hope lessons from The Last of Us, the TV show, brush off on Druckmann, and that maybe they go for something with a little bit more narrative depth than a child banging two Duplo blocks together being like, violence is bad, which is the bizarre level that Druckmann fell to. I mean, it's weird, yeah. The Last of Us Part 2 really does feel like it was just made by different writers than Part 1, and the fact that it wasn't just had me a bit confused. Anyhow, the point is that Craig Mazin now wants to be credited in this movie pseudonymously? He wants a pseudonym put in the credits instead of his real name. Now, you could say that this is the man who, while we know him for Chernobyl and The Last of Us, also wrote such absolute bangers as Scary Movie 3, Scary Movie 4, Superhero Movie, which I had the distinct displeasure of seeing in a cinema, The Hangover Part 2, and The Hangover Part 3. I don't know how he turned that around and suddenly did Chernobyl out of nowhere, but hey, grats, sir. Turned out you really did have it, didn't you? Anyway, he wants his name off the credits. That probably means the Borderlands movie is going to be a massive shit show. And with that, I bid you farewell. Of course, be sure to like, subscribe, all those good things, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.